Do we have time for one more question?
I think we got time for another question, then we'll get some songs.
Okay. Our final question today, sent to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com, comes from a fellow named Buff from Down Under.
Wait a minute, is he also the stuff?
I don't know. Do they call it the stuff in Australia?
I don't think they call it the shit down there.
Or the shite, or something else.
So Buff's on the shit.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
But I think he's getting better. I saw him dressed up as Mr. Rogers recently. But anyway, this Buff asks, Dear Jim, as a larger individual, I fondly recall the more rotund wrestlers of times gone by, where everyone wasn't a chiseled Adonis. Adorable Adrian is a great example. I was shocked, however, when years later, through the internet, I found out how grossly exaggerated some wrestlers' weights were. For example, King Kong Bundy, billed at 458 pounds, was actually around 330.
What? Wait, what?
The devil, you say?
Okay, hold on. At what stage in his life is that notated?
Boy. Good
All
clue.
right, well, we'll finish the question.
But he's interested in your experience on weight in wrestling, how and who decided it, and any other anecdotes.
Well, okay, first, and I didn't mean to just shit all over his question to start, but I mean, later in life, Bundy may have got down to 330, but no. I promise you, I've been around guys. I know their legitimate weights from being in the office and dealing with the commissions. I know their gimmick weights from booking. And Bundy was, I mean, maybe when he was a teenager, he was 330, but he was much heavier than that when he was in his run in the WWF with Hulk Hogan, etc. I don't know, a 458. I can't say that.
Yeah, perhaps a more salient example would be Vader, I'm thinking.
Well, and here's the thing. A lot of people, I have tried to tell them what Vader weighed at various points, and they call bullshit on me. And I'm like, what the fuck? I knew, because I was his manager and in the office, and hearing them bitch about how much he weighed. And at his heaviest, during his WWF days, he topped 400 by about 10 or 12 pounds. And at his lightest in the WWF days, he was probably around 350. And there was a range there. And obviously, yes, a lot of weights in the wrestling business have been exaggerated. Haystacks Calhoun didn't weigh 601 pounds. Probably legitimately, he's upper fours and maybe 5, depending on whether it was toward the end of his career or not. But 601 sounded good. So he was 601 pounds for 20 fucking years. Like there was no variation, but that was it. With Andre, his height was exaggerated more than his weight ever was. But at some point, he actually did not only meet, but exceed his exaggerated weight in real life. So it depended on the part of his life as well. All guys in the territory days, they'd, well, not everybody, but a lot of guys, they'd put a couple of inches on them, or they'd put 20 or 30 pounds on them. To get Ricky Morton in the business, they had to say he was 195 pounds. When he started out, he was probably 165. But if they'd said that, people would have laughed at him because they didn't have child wrestling in those days. But at the same time, I've seen people, say, oh, bullshit. So-and-so didn't weigh that much. Well, yeah, they did. If I say they did, because I'm not fucking advertising them, trying to sell tickets, I'm telling you what the truth was. Yokozuna, when he was Coquina, he was in the, I think, high 300s. And when they used to talk about this, when he first went to the WWF in 92, he was around the high 4s, and they made him 500 pounds. And then by the time I was working with him first in 93, they said he was around 500 and something, and maybe 600 pounds legitimately. But it finally got to the point where at Survivor Series 96, that was in Madison Square Garden, everybody knows the New York State Athletic Commission is the strictest one, or one of the strictest ones, and one of the most red tape ones in the country. And that's what instigated them giving Yoko time off and sending him to the Duke weight loss clinic and everything they tried to do before they eventually let him go, period, because he weighed 802 pounds by an official commission weigh-in, and they wouldn't fucking license him anymore. And that was what that was. So a lot of people have said, oh, fuck, Yokozuna never weighed 800 pounds. Well, at that particular point in time, he did. People change weights. But there was, with Mark Henry and Big Show, when they would send them to Louisville to OVW to lose weight, to get in shape after an injury or whatever the case, we didn't have a scale that would weigh them. So when we had to weigh them once a week, we had to take them to the fucking junkyard. And that was it was a fucking deal. We laughed about it, and everybody took it in good humor. And then finally, I think that was the time that Mark got under 400 pounds. They sent us a scale from the office. They bought us and sent us one that went up to 400 pounds so that we didn't have to take the fucking talent to the junkyard. But that was so the weights are all over the place, and some people's weights are deceptive. So you should always tend to be skeptical of advertised weights and build weights. But at the same time, when a lot of even very closely observant fans just, well, there's no way he could weigh more than this and that. Well, they're just pulling those numbers out of their ass too. So unless you've actually been around a weigh-in or commission paperwork or just had personal conversations with the guy about their weight, you don't really know, do you?
You certainly don't. But
for example, I'm sure you're a svelte individual, Lou. I've heard you don't weigh an ounce over 375, but some people might take you for 4 1/4.
Yeah, they might be overcharged on that case, but yeah, no, I'm a fairly rotund individual myself. But I can say with some certainty, legendary manager and wrestler George 2-Ton Harris was never 4,000 pounds.
He never actually weighed 2 tons, although he did tell me one time he had a hernia that fucking looked like a goddamn cantaloupe falling out of a bushel basket. And that visual just did things to me.
Oh, Lord.
But anyway, there you go. So there's the answer to, who was that question?
That was our pal Buff from Down Under.
From Buff. I thought it was William J. Cobb of Macon, Georgia.
No.
You got that one, didn't you? Or did you? Who is William J. Cobb of Macon, Georgia in the world of professional wrestling?
William J. Cobb in Macon, Georgia. I thought of Lee J. Cobb, the actor. So I got totally screwed up there.
Happy Humphrey.
Oh, yes.
Happy Humphrey himself. The same individual that Harley Race got in the business as the driver for and would wash him afterwards with a garden hose after his matches. He was in the Guinness Book of World Records at the time. This was the late 50s as the heaviest human being on the planet at that point at 800 and some pounds, and became a pro wrestler. And I honestly kind of believe that was pretty much around his weight, because the Guinness people are not like wrestling promoters. They had to do a little bit of verification. And then the Mcguire Twins, who were the heaviest twins on record on the earth, not just in wrestling, were listed in the Guinness book at their height. Well, I guess their height of their weight at 747 and 767, which, seeing those guys in person, I could kind of believe it was fucking insane just to watch them walk into a room. Right. I've never seen anybody that was walking erect on their feet, standing straight up, and their stomach still drug the fucking floor. It was, yeah. But you never know. People come in all shapes and sizes. Like you and me, right? I'm skinny now in my old age. I'm taking care of myself. And you're portly Lou. If it was you and me walking down the sidewalk, we'd look like the number 10 walking down the street. But people
Yes.
come in all shapes and sizes.